Hi everyone, welcome to this mini-series where we will be having a chat with some of the young women in the UCL Biochemical Engineering department. We're here to discuss our experiences being Black women in this sector and what has led us to this point. I want to start with the introduction from everyone. So, hi everyone, I'm Ayofa, I'm 20 years old and I'm entering my third year of Biochemical Engineering with a minor in regenerative medicine, and I'm from Lagos, Nigeria. And I'm joined by...
Hi, I'm Danielle. I'm 28, so maybe not so young. I'm entering my third year of my PhD in Biochemical Engineering, and I'm from the UK. Passing on to...
Hi, my name is Chloe. I'm 18 and I'm from France, but I have some origins from Ivory Coast. And I'm entering my second year as a biochem eng, and with a minor in environmental engineering. And I'm passing the mic to...
Hi, I'm Andalusia. I'm 26 years old and I'm from London. I'm currently doing a PhD in biochemical engineering and I'm entering my third year. Now passing on to...
Hi, I'm Laide. I'm 24 years old. I'm going into my second year of my PhD and I'm from Sweden, but originally from Nigeria.
Hi everyone, I'm Naomi and I'm 21. I'm originally Nigerian, but I've lived in Manchester for most of my life, and I'm in my fourth year studying the Biochemical Engineering Eng.
Hi everyone, my name is Edna. I am 20 and I'm in my second year of Biochemical Engineering. I'm originally from Ghana, but I live in London, and I'm passing on to...
Hi everyone, I'm Matthew. I'm a fourth year PhD student and I'm one of the hosts along with Ayanfe. So first off, I'm going to ask everyone here is, can you tell us what got you interested in STEM in general?
I think for me, in general, I just found sciences the most interesting in school, and kind of just learning about the world around us from a scientific point of view was always something that I found more appealing. And people think science is all about numbers and memorizing, but I think you can be quite creative in science as well. And there's so many different avenues and options you can take when you're looking in STEM.
Yeah, here in France, when I was studying at school science, I always was very curious about knowing how things around me would work and why does this and why does that and science gave me the answers to this, and that's why doing science was quite straightforward for me.
Yeah, I agree. It was same for me. I enjoyed science in school. I enjoyed maths as well. I really liked the problem solving. I liked data analysis, anything that involved doing experiments and just tinkering around in the lab and just trying out different things. I loved that. And I also loved analyzing the data. So I knew that I wanted to do science. I wanted to do the exploration and just kind of play around, see what was going on. So that was what sparked my interest in STEM.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the same. I would say when I was young, I remember absolutely loving the horrible science books. I don't know if anyone remembers those. But I found everyone who did science just seemed like a really interesting, mainly weird person. I kind of aspired to be like that. So it was a bit sad, but that definitely sparked my interest. And then the more I learned in school, the more I was interested and it made sense. And like everyone here has said, it just gives you a better understanding of what's going on in the world. So, yeah.
Yeah, everything that everyone said, I agree with. And the one thing where I was like, wow, let me get into engineering was I went to Women's Engineering Day at Subsea 7, which is like an offshore engineering firm. And then I just saw all the women just lined up talking about their successes, talking about how people told them that they can't do it. And then they went and they proved them that they can. And I was there, little year 9 me, I was like, wow, I'm going to be an engineer. Yeah, so that's how it all started.
Oh, thank you guys very much for your answers. So moving on to the next question, I wanted to know if you guys had any influences outside of school that kind of directed you towards STEM.
My biggest influence was my parents, because both of my parents did some studies, and my dad did more maths and physics studies, and my mom did more maths and biology. And so one of them ended as an engineer, my dad, and my mom is now a nurse. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that was one of the big influences, because when I heard, when we were talking about anything at dinner, etc., I was like, okay, that's interesting. And I could make links with my studies and they could help me with my homework, etc. So yeah, that was one of the biggest influences that I had.
Yeah, it was the same for me. Both my parents are engineers, actually, and my mom did electrical engineering. Crazy, I know. Anytime I basically had any math problems, she was there helping me. Physics I struggled with, to be fair. So I was like, I'm not doing electrical engineering, but we'll do something different. But definitely my parents, like electrical engineering, like if you look at the stats, it's always predominantly male. So having a mother who kind of did that degree and she talked about her experiences being one of the few female electrical engineering students was always so encouraging. And it's like, it made me believe I could do it because my mom could do it.
Following the same trend, I guess. My mum's definitely a big influence. She actually didn't have the opportunity to go to university growing up. I think she couldn't afford it, but she always wanted to be a marine biologist. So there's me, I've got 2 siblings, and she wanted us all to be marine biologists. So I did love biology, but she was a bit heartbroken when I chose not marine, more biomedical sciences, but that was definitely a driver sort of throughout school to do sciences and STEM.
I would say very similar as well. With my dad, he's always worked with computers, data. At home, he'd always be fixing computers. So I think that sort of inquisitive and problem-solving thing was something that I was always surrounded by. So that just really drew me more towards more STEM, engineering, science type of thing. And it just felt that I didn't know that many people who were doing it. So I was like, why don't I be one of the first?
For me, I'm a bit different. So none of my family members are involved in STEM and nobody actually went to university. But growing up, they always encouraged me to try my best and always to strive to reach my goals and to always try to do better than what they had done. So that really encouraged me to want to pursue a career in STEM.
No, that's awesome. Thank you so much for your responses. And like, it's really, really great to hear about what influenced your way to get into STEM as a whole. And obviously, now that you've kind of like talked about you've got here and kind of your journey kind of towards getting to UCL and doing whatever degree or PhD that you're doing, I'm just kind of interested to see kind of how has that academic journey been, as in like, so I'm kind of looking as in like, how was your like high school, college, that kind of thing, particularly for those who are not just in the UK, but those from outside the UK as well, would be really awesome. To be honest, I'm actually going to ask someone directly now. Edna.
Yeah, so my academic journey hasn't always been smooth sailing. So when I first started high school, I was placed actually in the bottom set. And my mother was like, that's not you. You need to work. And it got from year 7 to year 9 to finally go from lowest to highest set. It was like the biggest change, so much so that I got an award for it because I haven't seen anything like that. But no, I know that it's all hard work, and to get where you want to be, you have to work hard. There's working smart and working hard, but there has to be like a level ground. So it's been hard work getting here, and also I've never really experienced like, oh, you can't be here because you're a girl, or can't be here because you're black. So I would think that where I got to is because of the hard work.
Thank you very much for your answer, Edna. That was really great. So continuing on this theme of your academic journey before university, I wanted to ask what A-levels everyone chose and kind of why you went in that direction. If you didn't do A-levels, whatever equivalent you had.
I went with maths, chemistry, biology and psychology. I chose psychology kind of as my fun one, but to be honest, I am terrible at maths. So I ended up doing 1 AS and 3 A-levels, and maths was the AS.
So I didn't do any A-levels because in France it's a bit different. So we had subjects to choose and to a bit like specifying, a bit similar to A-levels. So I had maths, further maths, physics and chemistry, and biology as an AS, I think, more something that is less important, right? So that's what I did. And just if I can add a little bit, some information about me. I did this in France, but even though I'm French, I lived in Switzerland for about 9 years. And there, the system was, again, different from the French system. I was in a German school, so I had to learn German, and it was completely different. And I was also born in Canada, so I did like several different academic journeys, if I can say. And I always had to adapt to different systems and different stuff.
Sorry, can I ask, like, did you always have an interest in science throughout all those academic journeys, or did you change?
So actually, as I said, I'm quite a curious person by nature. So I liked all the subjects. Even at high school, when I was in France, I loved everything. But I'd say science came a bit after that, when I had to start thinking about what I really wanted to do. After that, I started thinking about it, etc. I did some more, like at high school, there was a subject that we could do as an extra thing to get to know a bit more what was really science. And we created nylon strings. And that was so funny, because we mixed two fluids together in a beaker, and then we could see between the two liquids there was like a sort of layer that was forming, and then we could just take it, and it was like an indefinite string that was coming out, and I found it so funny. And so I think my interest really in science grew at this moment. But yeah, I would say it's quite recent, but really profound, deep. So yeah.
So for me, for my A-levels, I chose maths, further maths, biology and chemistry. But at the time, I wasn't even aware of biochemical engineering. I did it with the hopes of going into medicine. But then I quickly realised I'm way too squeamish and I hate blood and everything like that. So I then end up finding biochemical engineering, which was still involved with helping people, but not so in the front of it, if that makes sense.
So I didn't do A-levels. I did something called IB, the International Baccalaureate. And for that, I did 6 subjects, 3 at a higher level, I guess, A-level, and then 3 at a standard level, AS. So for my high-level subjects, I did maths, biology and chemistry. I also did physics, but at a lower level. So yeah, I struggled the most with physics, hence why it was done at the lower level. But yeah, in terms of my academic journey, I think, yeah, it's been a lot of hard work. And in school, or for example, with the IB, where you're forced to take 6 subjects, you're going to do things that you're maybe not as good at. So there's a lot of hard work to understand and actually get through everything and to get good grades and all of it to be able to get into a good university. So it has been a lot of hard work, but it's been very rewarding. And it's like that experience really taught me a lot and made me realize, even which subjects I really struggled with, that I could come out at the end doing actually really well as long as I put in enough time to actually fully understand and practice a lot. So that was quite rewarding at the end.
So for my A-levels, I did biology, chemistry, maths and Spanish. And similar to Andy, I was initially thinking of going into medicine, but I did my A-levels between 2019 to 2021. So COVID was right in the middle. And when I had to start thinking about applying, I had a lot of time to think. I was in my house every day. And then I think I just sort of realized, like, no, medicine isn't for me. I was more interested in the scientific theoretical part of medicine rather than the actually, this sounds bad, but the actually like caring for people and being like, it sounds really bad, but I think a huge part of medicine is that part of, like, you know, if you go to the GP, they properly care for you, and it's more of a vocation than the scientific part. It is quite a big part, but when you're actually doing a job, it's more about the vocational aspect. But I was interested in learning about science, the very theoretical aspect. So that's how I came across biochemical engineering. And I think I made the right decision based on the information that was available to me at the time, yeah.
So I did A-levels and I did biology, chemistry and maths. I actually chose them because I liked the subjects. I didn't actually know what I was going to go into. I just knew I wanted to be a woman in STEM. So, and then I had one chemistry class and I was like, yeah, I'm going to do biochemical engineering because we were making aspirin. And I was like, imagine how cool it is to make drugs. Mm. So I know biochemical engineering is not about that now, but it's still like, there's a lot of things that you can do in this degree. So it's, yeah, very rewarding.
No, yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. It's really interesting to hear about. It seems like the general kind of trend is a lot of maths and chemistry, biology, but even people have been able to sort of do a wide variety of different things. It seems like you can kind of still do that as well within biochemical engineering. You're not necessarily, you have to do these 3 specific things. So you can kind of move into these sort of roles with a wide variety of kind of scientific A-levels or equivalent. One thing that I wanted to talk about now is maybe a bit more of you guys have obviously got to the stage in your kind of academic journeys where you're going to these sort of academic institutes and obviously studying at a very high level. But obviously, you know, people will only ever see you achieving this, but not necessarily the path that you pave yourself to get to this point. So I just kind of wanted to get maybe kind of like people could speak about maybe some of the obstacles that they came across, or even maybe some setbacks and stuff like this that they would be willing to talk about in their academic journey in general would be really interesting.
Oh yeah, I don't mind starting that one. I think the main thing for me was just not seeing there wasn't exactly an abundance of influences and people you could look up to in engineering specifically. I mean, I've had a lot of Black women influence in my life, and a lot of people who are leaders and, doing great things. But I think in engineering specifically, there wasn't really an abundance of that. So some of the inspiration kind of had to come from within myself, and being able to have that confidence, pave the way for yourself and, hopefully being able to inspire others.
If I may continue. So for me, as we were talking about hard work, etc. So yeah, I've always been a very hardworking person. And actually I think one of the hard things was when I had to move countries and adapt to a whole new system and a whole new methods of studying, doing maths. Like, for example, my first year here at UCL was quite difficult in maths because the techniques were completely different from what I've learned in France, and I was completely lost. And I was, oh my God, it's going to take so much time to do that, to learn everything again, etc. So it was quite annoying. I'd say that I also faced some bullying due to I suppose my difference. I don't want to say origin because it might not always seem very clear that I have, for example, African origins. But I know that when I was in school in Switzerland, I was bullied, and I had different hair than other ones, and they were pulling up my hair, etc. And that was not funny. And again, when I went to France, then I had an accent due to the fact because I was speaking German all that time when I was in Switzerland. So I had an accent, even though I was French, and I was different, and I had an Afro style hair, and everyone was looking at me in a strange way, and I was feeling very, very lonely. And then my family taught me to make of my difference a strength, and that's how I gained confidence.
So for me, it was actually probably more about how I'm maybe not the most academically inclined person. I'm not the best at exams. My A-levels didn't necessarily go how I wanted them to. Actually, since starting my PhD, I was diagnosed with ADHD. So that explains a lot of why I think I lost focus a lot, and the things I didn't enjoy, I just wouldn't learn. So that's definitely been something I've had to overcome. Now I do something that I'm really interested in. It's so much easier. And I think just being able to navigate, once you know yourself and how you learn, is much easier to navigate. But definitely in school, I did struggle with things like exams and studying and putting the work in terms of revision and stuff. So yeah, it's maybe taken me a bit longer to get here than some others, but yeah, that's why.
Yeah, I agree. I think the main thing for me was procrastination, and also about trying to balance everything at once, because especially in A-levels, you're making new friends, a new school, you just want to enjoy, but also you have 2 years to learn everything. So it was really hard to learn. But then also going through all of that, it makes you a stronger individual, and it helps you be able to balance all of that, because university is worse.
For me, it's probably been self-doubt, so not believing that I can do what I've actually achieved so far and where I want to go. But then I've realised that I can do it, and I just need to believe in myself, and that's got me to where I got to so far. So yeah. And then also probably it's been public speaking. So for me, I'm quite a shy person and I hate public speaking. So when I started my undergrad in the Biochemical Engineering department, I didn't realise how much of the degree would include public speaking. We had to do so many presentations. And I remember the first assignment we was given as well was to record a YouTube video explaining a topic, and that actually made me want to just drop out of uni. I thought, I can't do this, what is this, I've had enough. But then I just realised you just have to get over it and just do what you do not necessarily want to do, but it will help you improve your skills and become a better person. So yeah.
Yeah, just to add to that, I completely agree with everything Andy said, because I'm literally the exact same. I think one of the biggest obstacles is, your confidence. And even if you do know as much, I feel like a lot of women, and also Black women, even if you know as much as kind of your other counterparts, you tend to feel a bit more scared to speak up or even share that knowledge, even if you may know as much or even more than them. So I think kind of that confidence has been something that I've had to like build. And I always think to myself that there's many things that I thought I wouldn't be able to overcome. So for example, like school or like passing certain subjects, and like I was able to do it. So that should help me to build my confidence in the fact that I was able to do that before. Means that whatever challenge it is that's going to come my way later on, that I have what it takes to be able to take it on and actually overcome it. So I think that's kind of been a journey for me to get to where I am right now.
Well, thank you everyone for your answers, and thank you for listening, and to all you ladies for your contribution to this conversation. If you'd like to know more about UCL Biochemical Engineering, feel free to check out the department's website.